All right, my friends, welcome back to another View video. This is going to be a really good one for anyone who has played the game before. I apologize if I sound a little, bleary or dreary-eyed and whatnot. I literally just woke up because I got an email on my phone and I looked at it and said they were closing the beta servers in like 20 minutes. I spent like last night, I filmed a couple videos and I was like, oh, I'll just save this one for the last one. I'll do this right before everything's over. I had no idea it was ending in, this morning. So we're going to try to go through this. I was trying to get to as high levels as I possibly could so I could show you everything. But this is going to be the biggest changes for early and mid game for V-Rising veterans. We're going to split this into two parts: early, mid game, and then late game and end game. So once I'm able to do that on the live servers, we will go ahead and have two parts to this because there is a lot of information. So, okay, so let's just get into it real quick before everything comes down here. So, the biggest one of the biggest changes that happens is that that Veil of Blood, we no longer start with Veil of Blood. Unfortunately, I can't show you because once you get a veil, it goes away. But there's a veil called Veil of Shadows. All it really is just Veil of Blood. The original Veil of Blood, where like you dash and you heal 5% of your maximum health. That is now that trait of healing 5% of your maximum health is now on every single veil in the game. Every single one has that same thing, and that was in order to balance the insane power that Veil of Blood had, especially in PvP, where like the majority of the time it was just the best veil because 5% heal is gigantic. So now every single veil does something different. I'm gonna let you guys read these as you go through, but as you unlock them. My personal favorite, I actually still really like Veil of Blood, but Veil of Chaos is ridiculous now because of that. It doesn't get double heals; it's just one heal, but it's still very, very, very good. Veil of Bones is really interesting because now they changed it a bit. Instead of doing bonus damage to low health enemies, it just instantly summons a skeleton warrior. Veil of Illusion is the same. Veil of Frost, really, really good. But honestly, Veil of Frost has been my favorite because now it's like the shield and it heals you. So for me, this is like the new hotness for me. This is what I've been using the most, especially if you're using like chill or freeze builds. I haven't been using those as much, but they are really, really good. And I mean, imagine Veil of Storms also heals you. I mean, it's so good. So anyway, that's a really good change. Next one's going to be spell points. So spell points, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about them at first because I thought unlocking from bosses was going to be thematically better. But to me, it feels way, way better this way. And I'm going to show you really quickly. This is a really big deal. I was my first playthrough, I was like, man, as like choosing which spell to unlock is kind of a big deal. Like, having to decide which one I'm going to go with. It's just like, how do I decide? Because if you look at if we go through this list, the spell points are actually kind of like chaos heavy. So like chaos tier 1, blood tier 1, illusion tier 1, unholy tier 1, another chaos tier 1, another chaos tier 1. So that's all chaos tier 1s right in the beginning. And then it's like frost here. We have a Keely's frost as well. Yeah, etc, etc, etc. There's like no storms really at first. So it was like, man, like when I really have to make my choices, carefully. But don't worry, you can actually just use the Altar of Recollection. It's the old Blood Altar. They renamed it to the Altar of Recollection. It's like 180 stone, 10 blood essence, and it's a free reset to instantly reset all the points in the school right here. Right there. So you can just pick them right away. Super easy. And so that way, what I use it for is obviously like, if there's a boss so right now, normally Void is just really, really good to mob with, and it's pretty good on some bosses. But I only have one tier 2 chaos point, so if I wanted to use Veil of Chaos, I could have that. But also, there are some bosses where Chaos Barrier is going to be insane because they've reworked Chaos Barrier. We'll go more into depth on spells in another video. That's going to have to be a little bit further down the line. But suffice it to say, Chaos Barrier, I'll show you some big spell changes here, actually. So Chaos Barrier now, instead of reflecting projectiles every single hit, it now charges up whenever it gets hit, up to 5 times. Every single time it gets charged, it charges the projectile that's launched at the end by 40 per additional damage. 40% additional damage. So what happens is it ends up being a total of 250% spell power on the recast or on the projectile. So it'll either shoot at the end or it'll recast. And one thing that's really nice about resetting your spells is that if you have a really good jewel and you don't want to just like have it sitting around, you can just come here real quick, reset, and then you can just come in and be like, all right, cool, I'm going to pick Chaos Barrier, put my jewel on, and then you can go back and reset again. If that makes sense. You can go back and reset your spells again and go back to Void if you wanted to do that. Another big spell changes. Let's see here. So, Bloodright, really strong. Same spell. It just has a lot of new jewels that are actually so much cooler. I don't have them, unfortunately. My favorite one that's like a new spell, I'm not sure how it's going to work out in PvP, but it's really sick, is it throws daggers whenever you trigger the counter. It throws out up to 3 to 5 auto-targeting daggers that do damage, like additional damage, and they heal you, and they apply leech. So it's like so crazy. So imagine you have that with your normal immaterial, you have that with invisibility, you have that with increased damage, and you have that with like your next primary attack does bonus damage. I mean, it's crazy because there are now tier 4 jewels in the game. Sadly, I don't have any to show you because I haven't been able to get to the point where I can really start unlocking those. But they have tier 4 jewels instead of just 3, which have 4 abilities. Insane craziness, but that's more of an in-game and late-game thing. We'll get into that later. Okay, so more changes here. Death Knight is now, it's not the same thing where you just like summon it down, it hits you with a sword, then it disappears. Now it's like an actual summon, where it's like a mini Krieg, kind of, where he goes around and just starts smacking things for 6 seconds. Obviously, he applies Condemn. When he does that, he has a health bar. This is like really good for if anyone who's doing like summon builds and stuff for like lots of skeletons. There's just so many ways to get skeletons in the game now. It's actually crazy. So, in terms of, okay, so in the Illusion School, Ignite now has a different chain here, or different thing here. So whenever you actually cast Ignite, whenever something dies to Ignite, it does an explosion that deals 50% magic damage and ignites nearby enemies whenever they die. So it like chains Ignite. Really, really good for PvE. So yeah, Condemn, again, we still summon, summon a Skelly. This is a change here. Let me see here. Oh, again, there are other nerfs and things you're going to have to go through. I don't have time to go through all these. So like Blood Rage and Power Surge have been changed a little bit. They now have like fading hastes and fading attack speed buffs, I believe. They last a little bit shorter. The jewels have been nerfed. I won't be able to go into that, but we'll get into that in another video. Phantom Aegis, this one's been nerfed as well. It's down to 2 seconds how long this lasts, but it is still a ridiculously good spell, especially in PvP, because there is a jewel that will cast Fear when the shield breaks to anything around it. So like imagine you're in a team fight and your ally is getting jumped, you just cast Phantom Aegis on him and everybody starts trying to wail on him, and then they break the Phantom Aegis and they all fear themselves, and then he just walks out. So super awesome. Big change, Mosquito no longer moves. It does not move. It will taunt PvE enemies, not really so much bosses. And when I say taunt, I don't even know if it said taunt in the description, in the patch notes. I don't actually know if it's taunting, because I don't think bosses care about this any more than like a regular summon. But yeah, that was a change. And then here into the ice tree here, into the frost tree here. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Obviously there's yeah, Army of the Dead is the new other unholy ultimate. The other one, Summon Fallen Angel, is now locked into a shard that you unlock from Solaris, who is now a shard boss again. Okay, so let's go to Frost. Ice Block is now combined with Frost Vortex. It is now an ultimate. So I'm not sure how I feel about this one in general. I don't really think I would ever use this because you can't get jewels on it. Obviously there's good times to use this in PvP. I guess there's sometimes you can use in PvE, but I just don't really care about this. Like, why, there's so many other things I could use. And it was replaced with Cold Snap, one of my favorite new spells. It's so good. So it's a counter that instantly freezes anyone who hits it and gives you 100% spell power shield for 6 seconds afterwards. So I'm burning alive. Let me walk over here. Sorry. Instantly gives me 100% spell power shield afterwards. Now, keep in mind, it does not give you immaterial on, like, the standard spell does not give you immaterial, but it does have a jewel that will give you immaterial. So the reason that matters is if there's multiple hits coming your way and you counter one of them, as cool as that is, you'll still get hit by the other hits without this spell, without this jewel here. Which is why for me this is like crucial for this spell. Because just having that little second of immaterial to dodge the rest of the attacks coming your way and give you a chance to like react to them, really crucial. But this spell for real, it's a tier 1 spell point, or yeah, spell. You could unlock this at Keeley. Huge deal. Next one, you're gonna go here to discharge. We're gonna speed this up a bit. Sorry. Discharge has been changed. You no longer fly around and like knock things into the air. Instead, you pull things into you. It actually gives like a mini stun effect whenever they pull them into you. And every single time somebody hits you, it gives a storm shield, which is like a little spin around you, almost like, you know, whenever Cyclone is spinning around you, that kind of thing. It's like that, right? A little mini thing that spins around you and does a little bit of damage, but just applies tons of static. This one's extremely good base, but the jewels on this go crazy. One of them is a recast that knocks people away whenever they get close to you. So imagine you can like pull them in, and then in PvP they swap to sword because you're using a counter, and they're like, oh, I'll just Q on top of you, right? And you start to Q on top of you. Well, you just recast discharge and knock them away. Now the sword doesn't do anything. Now there is no counter. You counter their counter to your counter, right? Okay. On top of that, there's also a jewel I really like, which is whenever it counters up to 3 times, right? So 3 times, right? Whenever you get 3 storm shields, it gives you immaterial. That one's also, in my opinion, indispensable. You have to have that one, in my opinion. There's also one where it charges. Every time you take damage, it charges your next primary attack, similar to how the lightning curtain effect worked, whenever it like absorbs projectiles. This one is ridiculous with that. I mean, imagine somebody's doing something and you counter them, like pistols or whatever. You take one of them and then you just charge your next attack, you dash at them, and then you hit them with a veil that's like ultra charged. Okay, that's all the spells. Oh, another big one. This right here, Lightning Typhoon. It replaced Call of the Storm or whatever it's called. That one's now on Adam's Shard. This is a gigantic spin to win. I'm going to see if I can show this real quick. Let's do this. And so here's what it looks like. Oh, whoops. All right, here's what it looks like. And here we go. Whee! All right, so hilarious, does tons of damage. Basically for like Dominus spin to win. As good as this seems, it does do a lot of damage. The problem is you're still vulnerable to being hit, and I think you can get stunned out of it. So in my opinion, Raging Tempest is still better. This is not really my thing. It does a huge amount of damage if you can get the whole thing off, but you know, not really my thing. Okay, next thing we're going to go. Oh, speaking of ultimates, they are now down to 120 seconds base cooldown. They've been dropped by 30 seconds. So we can now use ultimates. I usually would save my ults in like boss fights because I wouldn't want to get jumped by somebody, right? So I was trying not to use ults. Well, now with it's only 2 minutes, that's not a big deal. You can actually legit just get away with spamming your ult on cooldown in a lot of situations. Next thing we have here is the passives. This is going to be a separate video. I'm sorry, there's not enough time here. I will show you my favorite ones in this. So Chaos Kindling, increase ignite damage, 50% chance to trigger ignite on other enemies whenever it explodes. We have Chill Weave, shields absorb more damage. 5% increased damage to chilled frozen targets. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to quickly click through all of these. If there's one you want to read, just pause the video, okay? I'm so sorry. There's just barely any time left. Sorry, so Chaos Kindling, Arcane Animator, Summon a Skeleton Mage, Spiritual Infusion, deal 10% increased spell damage to weakened enemies, Chill Weave, more damage and 5% increased Frost, Lightning Fast Strikes, increased primary attack speed, static deals 20% more increased damage whenever it triggers, so good. Hunger for Blood, increased damage to V-Bloods, Turbulent Velocity, 6% increased movement speed for 8 seconds when dealing damage to an enemy. This is like a 100% you have to get this. This is so good. Soul Drinker, reduce the cooldown of Bite and 20% chance to summon a skeleton. Skinwalker, faster movement speed while shapeshifted. Lingering Frost, 30% chance to apply Chill when freeze is removed. This is like crucial for a Frost build, super sick. Elemental Resistances increased by 10. Really good for PvE, especially for Holy Resist. Also, the Morning Star, the legendary version of the whip, applies burn whenever it hits you with its abilities. So this helps for like fire resist. Sanguine Mastery, boost the effects of blood type by 8%. These tier 3 ones are huge. These first 4 are just crazy. This is required. The way this works is it doesn't boost your blood type up to 100, or up by 8%. It just boosts the effects, similar to the tier 5 passive, or the tier 5 boost. It boosts it by an additional 8%. So that's how that works. Embrace Mayhem, reduce cooldown rate by 50% for your ultimate. This is also obviously crucial. You can get it down to like, I think it's like 100 and something seconds for your ult, like barely 100 seconds. So less than 2 minutes for an ult. You're just spamming ult. This is required. Dark Enchantment, increase or reduces damage taken by 20% below 15% health. This is a huge deal. This is actually really solid, especially for people who are running stuff that isn't a warrior build where you get tons of damage reduction. I think there's now a damage reduction cap. So this is, but yeah, regardless, this is really good. Blowing Sorcery, increase spell cooldown recovery rate by 5%. So it's a flat spell CDR right here. Super good. And there's a 25% chance to not consume Phantasm when triggering a cooldown reset. So also really good. Like there's a huge potential here. I'm really interested in this. And then Cold Soul, killing a frozen enemy, inflicting freeze on an immune target, triggers an Ice Nova, dealing 25% damage, inflicting chill. This is a PvE ability. Enhanced conductivity. Yeah, 50% chance to that chain lightning bounces additional time. So yeah, speaking of that, static now has a chain lightning effect where if something with static dies, it'll bounce up to 2 enemies and deal 50% magic damage to each of them and apply static to those enemies. So very good. All right, what's next here? Okay, over bosses. Let's get into bosses real quick. So the overwhelming majority of, so first of all, items. Items now all matter a lot. So first, there's been big reduction in cost here. The base cost of like silver and iron weapons is now down by 25%. I think all weapons are down by 25%. So now it is the base silver ingot price is 12 instead of 16, which is amazing. The base, same with iron. So once you have forged floors, it's 9 ingots, which is nothing to make this. But you do have to have primal blessings now, and we're going to go into how we get those primal blessings with the advanced crafting stages. There's so much I have to go through here. I'm so sorry. Advanced crafting stages. You now have to get these. So this right here, you have to get. People were wondering like, oh, why would I, would I want to get this? Like it just takes up more space, it takes more mats. Well, no, you have to, because these recipes here for silver and gold are gated into this. You cannot craft these or refine these in a regular smelter. Same with the advanced grinder, which you unlock. I'll show you where you unlock these. You have to get this for this. Spectral dust. You cannot refine spectral dust without it. There is no advanced sawmill, strangely, but there is no advanced sawmill. Advanced blood press. You have to get this for primal blood essence. But keep in mind, all of these advanced things here have a gigantic increased speed. It is so fast. Look how, I'll just show you. Look at this, 50 seconds. This is a 1x server. 50 seconds for a primal blood essence there. So pretty insane. Again, so let's go into the bosses here. You get these. All of these are like mid-tier unlocks. We're gonna go with this list. So a lot of the early bosses, they're all the same. They give you the same unlocks. Something really interesting with the spell point system, you can get Word of the Damned as early as Goreswine now if you get this. So okay. We're gonna go right here. Sorry, there's so much information. Finn, this is for the fishing pole. I haven't, you're gonna experience this if you want to experience that guy. He's super funny, really fun boss. Keep going up here. But okay, here's something interesting. A lot of the cosmetics, like curtains or whatever, a lot of the cosmetics have been thrown onto bosses. Hunting trophies. See, all of these little cosmetics that used to be unlocks, a lot of them are now on bosses. And also the way those spell points work, they're on different bosses. I wish I could go through all of this. I have 5 minutes, so I'm just going to try to rush through this as fast as I can. Okay, so bosses that matter. Let's see here. We have Domina, who unlocks the grinder. You have he now unlocks pristine leather. You have to go through Ben to get this. And Cyril is the advanced furnace, and then Jade is, where is she? Jade, there she is. She gives the advanced blood press. There's also an advanced tannery and loom. Matka does the advanced loom for shadow, like for the high tier stuff. And then Terror Claw does the advanced tannery for the final tier of bat leather and things. We'll go into that whenever we have time in the next video for end in late game unlocks. Okay, oh yeah, but like I said, the overwhelming majority of bosses matter now. This is a huge deal for progression. It slows things down, but what it also does is, because they reduced the cost of some mats in your base, and they increased refinement speed, etc., 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 now it gets you out into the world playing the game more. You actually have to go fight things more because you have to fight things to unlock things. Like, you have to. Like Matka, they reduced in level down to 74, that kind of thing. But regardless, yeah, you have to fight this stuff to get recipes. You have to get pristine leather here. You have Frost Maw unlocks thick leather, so if you want that, you have to get that. Bags. Speaking of bags, these are crucial. These are now legitimate like gear items that give you stats. So it starts out just like increased inventory and silver coin immunity, and it goes all the way up. So I can't be able to show you on Gore Crusher, but so pristine leather bag, look at that, 34 health, 10% resource yield. And Gore Crusher's even higher than this. I think you probably saw, if you watched Force Gaming's video, you probably saw a snippet of the Bat Leather bag. Bat Leather bag's insane. It's like 40-something health, 10% resource yield. And I actually think it's 75 sun resist. His said 25. I actually think it's 75, if I remember correctly. Like I think they buffed it. It's ridiculous. I could be wrong, though. We'll have to see what it is. Yeah, bags, big deal. Don't sleep on them. For stats, you can see here, I have a bunch of space here with just the Mountain Peak bag. For me personally, I usually stop at the Mountain Peak bag, and if I want to get the one with Wilfred, that's fine. But okay, we're gonna keep going here. Oh, POIs. Okay, so some POIs have changed a little bit, but Farbane specifically now has Bandit Copper Quarry and Bandit Copper Camp. These are places that drop copper. They have like guaranteed copper ore spawns and enemies there. They do not get copper ingots though. Keep in mind, you still have to go to Copper Mine if you want refined finished copper ingots. Refinement recipes get behind bosses. So, oh, whoops, sorry about that. Bags of equipment spot. Oh yeah, and coin cost rates. So coins are now a big deal, like really big deal, because we can carry so many with our bag, like 300 here. That sounds like, oh wow, that's a ton. Well, actually, having a ton of coins, so copper is all the same. The prices are all the same. Silver has been changed a little bit, and gold sun prices are through the roof. No more 24 gold sun for a recipe. That's just not a thing anymore. It's now like hundreds of gold sun for a recipe, which is going to slow down progression there. Also, on top of that, there are 4 merchants here. The treasure hunter no longer, here he is, no longer sells legendaries. Take a look at the treasure hunter. Very interesting trade post there. He is now the guy who sells weapon recipes. And over here, these guys are selling armor recipes and all the usual stuff there as well. So there's like 1 minute left. Servers could be coming down in 1 minute. I'm not 100% sure. If they don't, they were nice to me. That's really nice. If they do, we'll see what happens. But we're going to keep talking as long as we can here. So, okay, so bosses. Let's go through here. So you have to get Ziva. Oh, that was another thing. You have to get Ziva early now. You can't really skip her all that much. I got her around level 65 once I had killed Cyril, but you probably should get her earlier because you really do need the fabricator. You have to have the fabricator early because you need radium to build this. And you need radium for your necklace. I mean, obviously you could farm radium if you wanted to, but you might as well just get her while you're up there. I'm going to be releasing a progression guide that kind of shows the route that I think is probably the most efficient. That goes from 2 different ways. So once you get to the 60s, which is about mid-game, you can kind of split. That's my alarm. Sorry, that was my alarm to wake up. Yeah, once you get to the 60s. You're going to have to split directions. If you're a duo, you can split directions. One of you can go into Cursed Forest and clear out the 3 bosses here, which is like Ben, Angora, Ben, and Falrot. And the other can go over here and do Domina, Ziva, and Ingram. Those 3, you kind of split directions to do the same types of level. It's the same types of level range. And you want to go that way, get as much mutant grease as you possibly can. So that's an interesting thing. Mats matter so much more. There's so many more things to use your iron on. You need way more iron than you did in the first version, or in Gloomrot. Like, you needed tons of iron in Gloomrot. You need way more iron in this version of the game. So 1 run won't be enough. What I would suggest doing is kind of like you do your iron run, and you know how whenever you're out and about, you'll see like iron nodes, or maybe you get a bunch of iron in Cursed Forest, or you'll see like iron nodes in like Gloomrot North and stuff like that. You kind of just like skip them by then because you're like, I got enough iron. You pick it up ambiently. I would suggest, you know, you do your initial iron run, and then either one of you, then going and doing an iron run again at Iron Cave over here, or if you don't want to just do all of your iron at once and like risk losing it all, which would be a disaster, do one of solid iron run in one of these locations, and then as you see iron nodes, the ones you usually skip because you're busy, just hit a few more of them. You'll need another 1,000 iron ore or so. Like, you do need a lot more. I don't have the exact numbers, but a lot of things take iron. Like this takes iron. I can't remember if that takes iron, but like there's just, oh yeah. So you're going to have to get, so for celestial canisters, you're going to need a lot of them. And now, you know, for iron here, you're going to need a lot more mutant grease. You no longer, oh, that's a big change. I forgot. You no longer have to fill up bottles and things like, you know, brews and stuff. You just combine the mass with the thing, right? So I have, do I have an alchemy table? I don't have an alchemy table. Dang. Well, this is a perfect example. So celestial canisters, you now make them instead of fill them. You can, instead of making empty canisters and going to fill them, you have to use mutant grease, 3 per, to make one, which is, again, that's a huge change for us. It looks like they're being nice to us. They haven't showed up the servers for me yet. Looks like, yeah, so you have to make those celestial canisters with mutant grease. So you have to get more mutant grease, which I, again, you know me, mutant grease is just, it's like obnoxious because it just drops in such small quantities, and you need so much of it for this right here, right? For our pristine leather, it's still 20 for that. So without tailoring floors, obviously. But if you have tailoring floors, it's a lot better. Regardless, you now have to get pristine leather, mutant grease for pristine leather, and mutant grease for sludge-filled canisters. So keep that in mind. You have to get a little bit for this as well, because those sludge-filled canisters are still required for our radium alloy. Yeah, so overall, the changes are awesome. I really, really enjoy this. Oh, here's one that I didn't really go into. Okay, so Ancestral Forge. Sadly, I don't, maybe I have enough to make this. The Ancestral Forge, let's see here. Primal and iron. So you look at that, 16 iron. Yeah, that's like I said, you need so much. I'm missing 1 iron. There's got to be one in here, right? No. Wow. Okay. Well, do I have iron in here? No, I don't. Oh no. See, that's what I'm saying. Look how much iron you need. I don't have enough to make everything. But regardless, let's see here. Yeah, I don't have enough iron. That's okay. So pristine. Yeah, so the Ancestral Forge. You know what? I actually do need to make something with it. So let's eat something real quick. We'll make the Ancestral Forge now. This is a really good spear. There. Just in case I end up using. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we get Primal Blood Essence. We're gonna go like this. So first things first, I made the suggestion. I am going to say this. I have accomplished the one task I set out to do. Okay? You're not gonna be able to see this here, I'm pretty sure, because it's not in this branch. Yeah, it's not in this branch. But this has been shaved down. It's now the proper size. It fits where it's supposed to fit. I love it. I love it. But okay, we're gonna go into this Ancestral Forge here. How it works for upgrading weapons. So this is where it gets really interesting. You see this? Look at the level difference between here. Let me get a. There we go. So Merciless Iron, 18. The upgraded is 2 eye levels higher. That's really interesting. If you need that extra 2 levels for that mid-game push into the 60s bosses, it's not a bad idea to make this and have this. But I will say, when it comes to upgrading your weapons, one thing to note here. So once you have that, here is pistols. So pistols are 20. Yeah, silver is 23, and the upgraded blues are also 23. So you only get that 2-level eye difference bonus from the Merciless Iron tier up into the initial like ancestral weapon tier. So that's really important to know. But yeah, we will go into more things about that in another video, but that's what it looks like. Oh, let me show you this. You also have this here. I can't put that there, sadly. So this is where you would put it to upgrades, right? So you make it there. I don't have anything, sadly. And then you would put it here, and it would give you the recipe you need to upgrade it. And you just click that, and it upgrades. So Okay, so I actually finished recording the video and then I realized I didn't talk about this. This is a really good spot to put this. Just really quickly, there are another big change. Oh no, the incursion events just left. So there's two tiers of incursion events, right? So tier 2 is 80 plus. Tier 1 is 57 plus, which gives you the small or regular Stygian shards. That's what's going on here in Morium. We'll get more into Morium in another video. And then another really important thing, just information for you guys, there are no base building plots here in Morium. None at all. Zero. So there's a lot of theory crafting that goes into that of where the best spot may be in the game in order to access Morium, or just overall like the best. That's going to have to be its own video. Just wanted to show that to you guys. There are no base plots here. You cannot build here. But those events, they happen on a time. You'll get an announcement as long as you have the Eye of Morium, which is up here, which you unlock from a tier 3 castle heart. You have the access to bake this. So once you have that at tier 3 castle heart, you will have access to see these events happening and when they're going to be announced. It'll tell you when they're coming up. If you hit your map key, you can see exactly how long it is until the next round of incursions, or if they're active, how long they have left. So right now it's the 80 plus ones, the tier 2s, the greater Stygian shards, and they're going to be running for another 8 minutes and 40 seconds. So anyway, just wanted to share that. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Yeah, so again, let's go through the bosses specifically that matter the most in the early game. That changed. So Bane's up 3 levels. He's changed. He swapped places with, I don't actually know who he swapped. He just moved him up to level 50. Okay, so bosses that matter. Goreswine still does his thing. Tier 1 bosses are largely unchanged, if I remember correctly. They all give the same recipes, just like additional like decorative recipes. Oh, Lydia gives the duh. Lydia gives you the longbow. If you want to test the longbow, you can get it as early as copper with Lydia. Let's go through the weapons. I sadly don't have the whip on this build because Domina. So the way it's going to work on launch is Domina will be giving the whip, the initial whip, which is an iron whip, similar to how like Bane gives slashers. And then Simon Belmont, right here, he will give the Sanguine Whip recipe. So it used to be he just gave the whip, and everyone was like, dude, you have to get to like 83 or something just to get the whip. And on top of that, you have to like, it starts at like iron whips as well. So like it unlocks an iron whip, but you're 83, so you're never going to use it. Like, what's the point of that? So they changed it, which is a super awesome idea by them. They solved the problem better than anyone thought up, which was, hey, give Domina the whip because she has that whip in her normal attack, and then let Simon give you the Sanguine Whip, which is crucial if you want to get to the Morning Star, the highest tier legendary Morning Star for the whip. So yeah, super good change. But sadly, I didn't in this build, in this version. That's not the case. Sadly, I wasn't able to get to Simon. He's insane. We'll have to do that in another video. But here's the whip. Here's the whip. Here's the bow. Oh gosh. Let's jump through this. There. All right, here's the bow. So bow has a charge up attack. I'll go up here actually, sorry. Bow has a charge up attack, so it does varying damage right here. Varying damage. The primary attack is 60 to 120% physical power, which is obviously crazy, but that is how long it takes to attack. To fully charge, I mean. But keep in mind, attack speed massively... Whoops. Attack speed makes that better. So, like, if I go... There you go. Yeah. Okay, so next thing is Q. It shoots 5 arrows in a cone, each of them dealing 100% physical damage. This cannot hit the same target more than one time. I know every one of you were like, ugh! I'm thinking 500% shotgun blast. But you can't hit the same person. Yeah, so the other interesting mechanic is whenever you hit something with this, like an enemy, it will give you a stack of focus. And that focus will augment the other enemies. So also, by the way, this attack can pierce up to 2 times. But each hit subsequently does less damage. And oh, did I mention that it's actually not that bad for farming, strangely enough? Like, it's actually not that bad. Look at this. So, 1, 2, 3. I mean, look at that. That's not terrible. And you're hitting all of it at once. So, yeah, not a terrible drop for farming if you happen to get this for merciless iron, merciless copper, or merciless iron, or whatever. It's not terrible. I wouldn't prefer it, but it's not that bad. Okay. So yes, this is the thing about this. The Q is the knockback is honestly really, really far. Sadly, if I go down here, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna kill everything that I hit. We'll try it anyway, just in case. Let's go here, get all these guys on me. Right here. So first we're gonna do this. Whoops. So you can see I have 3 stacks of focus because I hit enemies. Now watch this. I just killed everybody. Oh well. Well, the Q will knock them back. It does increased damage and adds an additional arrow for every enemy that there is. And then... Whoops. Okay, let me do this real quick. Yeah, okay. Now E, what it does is it uses those focus stacks, and it will do this. Look at this. I just missed like a freaking idiot. Okay, well, whatever. We'll do this. Okay. There's no enemies anywhere, huh? Oh, well, what E does is it bounce. That's so funny. I just missed that. I'm like rushing and not even thinking. So what E does is it does a giant damage nuke, does a fading snare, so it slows, like stops them and then slows, and the arrow will actually turn and hit them again. So in PvP, they can they can just counter that if it hits them the second time. You know, if they don't have a counter up yet. But here's what it looks like in this. So we have 2 things of. So they're here. Oh, so yeah, so only went back once. There. Okay, here we go. And here we go. See that? Yeah, pretty sick. I think it's like up to like a total of 5 hits. So pretty cool. We use it one more time here. Oops. Oh, there's a 98% brute there. Look at that. Let's hit these guys here. And... Okay, so now we're going to use Q on these guys. There. See how it knocks them back there? And now we're out of focus because it all went to that. And we're going to use this. Oh, it just hit the thing. So yeah, the E bounce. This is so funny that I can't get this. The E bounce hit a wall. So it hits a wall, it like loses its, loses the bounce and it disappears. So we'll go ahead and hit these guys here. And we'll hit this guy right here. Yeah, there we go. So, this is so funny, I can't get this. All these guys are too low, there. All these guys are too low of HP to survive more than a few hits. So. But yeah, so counter's really good. They give you some space on this, so it's like to keep working with it, and I keep like kiting back. So like you do this, and then you counter, and then knock something back, and you keep walk backwards, and you knock them back with E, then you or Q, then you hit him again, then you hit him with E for big damage, and then yeah, etc., 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 etc. So yeah, pretty good weapon. And I'm not sure how it works out in PvP personally. It might be good for like a kind of like an AOE get off of me, right? Get off me tool. So if you're getting jumped by a bunch of people from the front and you just like, you're sitting there like, and then these people are running at you in the front like this, you can just kind of go and knock them back and keep going backwards. So, and it knocks back really far, like really, 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 really far. I'm pretty sure it's that cone or maybe close to that cone's distance. Like it's super far. So imagine you could do something like this where you're backing up and people are attacking you and you just go like this, you hit it with this, then you dash, then you swap to this. And you're gone. You're out, right? So, yeah. Anyway, that's a nice little weapon breakdown for the bow, even though you didn't really get to see it in action like crazy. But, okay. So, all right. Let's see. I think that might be it for now on the big changes. Let's go through the bosses one more time. The crucial bosses here. So you do need Ziva early. This is super crucial. Domina, you need for the advanced grinder, 100%. Octavian now unlocks his Ancestral Forge. He does not do Dawnthorn, which is now behind Angram, which is why you have to clear Angram now. You have to go that way to get Dawnthorn unlocked. And then, like I said, Wanderer, Ben, Pristine Leather is you get from him. You still get Spectral Dust from Falrot. He's now, they're all level 63. They've all been brought to the same level. And then Silk from Angora Still, and Spider Form if you want Spider Form. And then up here, you have these guys. He gives you the bag, and coins still from the Duke. And Cyril is now like final boss, extremely important. Look at this. Anvils, Advanced Furnace, and Dark Silver Ingot are all gated behind Cyril. All of them are gated behind Cyril, which is super crucial, right? Oops, wrong one. Then we have, all right, so Magnus, he's pretty much the same. He gives you the cloak, you know, that matters. Oh, sorry, we also have these things. I didn't really build any of them. Let's see if I have the ability to. Let's see here. Storage. Okay, so, yeah, here you go. Alchemy storage. So, alchemy storage, what this does is it instantly highlights and takes all of the things that are highlighted and categorized as alchemy. So, like blood essence and bones, things like that. And you just hit this button, quick, like the compulsively sort. That's now quick transfer. You just press this button, you press E, and it all goes over right away. And to break that down to like, you have all these different categories here: potions, small consumables. So like, let's see, actually, I think I actually have some small consumable stuff here. Yeah. So we go like this, and all these potions and things that go with it, you just press E, and it all goes over instantly to deposit into it. Same thing with like resources like this. So if you have these copper ingots, which I think I used them all, if I'm being honest, I think I used all my copper. Yeah, you would just do that, and all of your like anything that's like anything that's like a building material, any kind of material like this or this, just goes instantly into the storage, which is super good for like fast stuff really quickly. If you have items that you don't like have stacks of yet, you just like walk up and press it and they all goes in there anyway. But be advised, some of them are a little weird, like kind of really weird. For instance, this is alchemy for some reason. Like, it's bizarre. Very weird that's alchemy, right? So I feel like Scourge Stone should probably be in materials, but maybe that's just me. Strange, but yeah. So, okay, and then we're going to go through this real quick here. Last things, Baron, same thing. Morium, same thing. Merwin, same thing. Matka gives the advanced loom and ghost yarn. Yep, same thing here from Henry Blackbrew. And, okay, so the last thing I wanted to go through. Okay, sorry, I knew there was one thing I was forgetting here. So yeah, Terra Claw for this. We'll go through these guys. Gold Still. And Voltatia still gives power cores. Simon Belmont. Oh, there we go. I can see Simon now. Look at that. See, he has the whip here. It's actually a Sanguine whip. And up here is Gore Crusher. Gore Crusher is now a regular boss. He's a regular boss at level 83, which is awesome. Honestly, he's a super fun fight. I love that fight. But his shard just was kind of meh. But they now kind of reworked the bonuses you get from it onto his bag that you get, which is a really good idea. Anyway, we'll get to that another time here. Last thing I wanted to go through was how to get the first tier 2 spell points for every school. So that's really crucial, and you unlock them in a very lopsided way. So like you get a lot of frost first. Finn gives me the last one. You get a lot of tier 1 chaos points first. You get a lot of unholy tier 1s first. And obviously you start with 2 of these. I could have gotten 1 if I wanted to. You get all the tier 1s really quickly. But the tier 2s and the storms, whatever, these take a little bit longer to unlock throughout the game. So I'll tell you, if there's one of these that you really want, like let's say you want a specific Veil, or if you're really a fan of Frost Barrier, or if you're really a fan of Mist Trance, Soul Burn, all these things, if you really want those super, super bad, I'll show you how to get these, the bosses that unlock them first. So the first Chaos point you can possibly get at tier 2 is unlocked from Jade. She gives you the first, that's the first opportunity that you have to get a tier 2 chaos point. So yeah, keep that in mind. Krieg is the first tier 2 unholy point. So that's the first time you can get that. Vincent is the first tier 2 frost point. And then Domina, wherever you are, is the first tier 2 storm point. And what is going on here? Raziel is the first tier 2 blood point. Am I missing one? Oh, illusion. Yeah. Yeah, Raziel is the first tier 2 blood point, and I believe it is Maja. No, not Maja. It is Christina. Christina is the first tier 2 illusion point. So there you go. That is how you get those spell points specifically. But anyway, this video turned out to be way longer than I meant it to be. I'm glad that the servers aren't down yet, but I was just rushing to get that done. Hopefully this information has been helpful for you. This is first early and a mid-game, big impactful changes for you guys. But for now, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you in the next one.